Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Nick Aliani. Today I'll be presenting the introduction of Build Operate Transfer Procurement, also known as BOT. So what is BOT? BOT is a deal where a private company or group build and run a big public project like highway, power plant, or hospital for a set of time, usually 20 to 30 years. After that, they give it back to the government for free or cheap price. So how does the BOT works? First, build. The private company will design and construct the project using their own money. Second, operate. The company run the project and earn money through toll, fee, or government payment. And third, transfer. After the agreed time, the ownership goes back to the government. So why do we use BOT procurement? First, save public money. The government can avoid huge upfront costs. Second, shift risk. The private company handles delay, cost overrun, and operation issues more efficient. Third, uses private skill. Private company often build and run things more efficiently. Third, faster project. It lets the government build critical infrastructure quickly.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Zulisha Mashaf Ibrahim, and my student ID is 2024219398. For this assignment, I will present about the literature review of BOT, Build Operate Transfer for Plus Highway. The first literature review is Build Operate Transfer BOT for Plus Procurement Highway Benefit. The advantages of BOT Plus are the fiscal relief of government, said by Zhang et al. 2018, and enhancement of project efficiency by the project through the expertise of the private sector. Bing et al. 2005 said that are of the view that both projects could provide improved cost and time performance rather than the traditional method. On top of this, the plus component usually involves a revenue sharing system, hence making them sustainable in the long term, said by NG and Lusmore 2007. The next literature review is issues and risk distribution. Along with the positives, BOT plus highway also has weaknesses like threatened financial viability and political intervention, said by Flyberg 2014. Chen and Dolloy said that note that the allocation of risk between the public and the private sector can be inept, and thus this may result in failures of projects. Cruz and Marcus 2013 mentioned that in both plus highway projects, a critical issue is demand risk, which is unpredictable levels of traffic. Proper contracts forms are necessary in order to mitigate risk effectively, said by Yescombe 2011. And the last literature review for this assignment is the factors of performances and successes. The performance indicators of BOT Highway Plus project rely on good governance, improving bidding areas, and engaging stakeholders, said by Grimsey and Lewis 2004. Ismail and Harris state that those projects have a higher success rate that displays evident revenue, guarantees, and government aid. What is more, technological change in toll collection and maintenance, the authors proposed by Liu et al. 2016, increases the efficiency of operation.
Assalamualaikum and everyone. My name is Fatin Hanifah Binti Faisal. Today I will present about the research methodology of the Plus Malaysia Berhad project. As the title indicates, this chapter will describe the several research approaches that our team employed to collect primary and secondary data and analyze those that are relevant to our investigation of the construction industry procurement system. It will cover the study location, sample strategy, data collection technique, and data type. As a result, this chapter opens with a comprehensive summary of the research. The research technique is a systematic approach to problem solving. Jensen and Warren define it as an investigation technique wherein the researcher methodology plans a study to guarantee a reliable, legitimate result that addresses the goals and the objective of the research. In other words, it is process of establishing certain method for identifying, obtaining, and evaluating relevant data related to a particular research issue. In terms of the sample design, we decide to use a purposive sampling technique in order to get information from reliable sources. This approach is so simple as it is easy for our team to ask direct questions about any facts related relating to the Malaysian construction procurement system, which employed in the build, operate, transfer, or also known as BOT project. We chose Mr. Alif Imran, a quantity surveyor from Plus Malaysia Berhad, as the ideal candidate for our studies after taking into account all the factors including his experience and knowledge. Next, there is one kind of data collection that can be employed, qualitative, which involve using this technique to the same investigation, where the collecting and analyzing data based on people, events, circumstances, interaction, observed behaviors, and direct questionnaires from individuals with knowledge, experience, and belief in known as qualitative research. The research person may give it verbally or in writing by Jensen and Warren in 2020, but as shown previous, our research method was constructed by interviewing the participant via Google Meet in order to get more information. The purpose of this data collection is to find and identifying the current procurement system practices used in the construction industry in Malaysia in order to ensure that the construction industry can continue to operate and contribute to the nation's economy, which all parties involved in the industry must adjust standard procedures and implement new measures to accommodate the current limitation as the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the normal processes in many industries worldwide, including the construction industry. In order to achieve our goals, we give the respondents two choices for supplying the data, where they can self-administer the survey or participate in an interview. Therefore, after thoughtful consideration, we have chosen a qualitative approach as one of the means of identifying, gathering, and analyzing data to meet all report requirements. This will be accomplished by conducting the structured interview with industry participants using a Google Meet, which this is due to the fact that it is among the techniques that provide quick transmission, cost effectiveness, quick reaction time, and thorough explanation and study of a subject. Then, in order to obtain exact and correct data, we had chosen Mr. Alif Imran, the quantity surveyor from Plus Highway Malaysia, and Berhad, who works for the consulting firm, and the company is based on Petaling Jaya Selangor. As a result, our group had obtained one case study for this situation where we managed to get the needed information from the person who participated in our qualitative method.
Before I proceed with data analysis, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Nur Shafika binti Nazaruddin with a student ID of 2024-60774. So based on the Plus Highway, the type of procurement is because of it is a public infrastructure, supports industrial economic growth, which is PPP, public-private partnership, which balances economic and social needs. Therefore, they use the procurement of BOT, which is build, operate, transfer, which is quite common for PPP model for highways, ports, and etc. A weak legal system can undermine BOT project viability. The Plus Highway uses the BOT model because it is a private sector builds, operates, then transfer it to the government after the concession period ends. Next, we will talk about the selection of contractor. As we know, Malaysia's procurement system has three main methods, which are direct purchase, open tender, and closed tender, or quotation or direct negotiation. The procurement laws and guidelines are available in print and on the Ministry of Finance website. The open tender means involve a public advertisement to ensure wide participation and transparency, which can help to reduce corruption. The local tenders must be advertised in at least one Malay language newspaper. Meanwhile, for the international tender must appear in both Malay and English newspaper, and are sent to foreign embassies and high commissions. All tenders are also posted on government and procuring agency website. For the Plus Highway, project used the open tender method with clear instruction posted on its official website. Moving on, we'll talk about the tendering procedure. The BOT model is increasingly used for highway development due to its benefit and tax incentive. The BOT is a type of public-private partnership where the private sector handles the design, construction, and operation. After the concession periods end, the infrastructure is transferred back to the government. Therefore, the Plus Highway used the BOT model in the PPP tendering. Moreover, we will talk about the contract use. The Plus Highway is a PPP project using the Build, Operate, Transfer method under a concession agreement. The private sector will manage the design, construction, and operation, then return it back to the government once the concession period ends. It was Malaysia's first BOT project. It was started in 1988 and completed in 1994, 15 months ahead of schedule. The original concession was 33 years and later extended by 12 years to 2030 due to toll restructuring and debt adjustment. Plus had to share all toll revenue with the government. The 848-kilometer highway reduced travel time from 15 to 8 hours, boosted connectivity, and stimulated an economic growth in new towns. Despite being PPP, the project received significant government subsidies. Next, we will talk about the contract price. Plus Highway has recorded losses for 3 consecutive years, starting from 2021 until 2023. In the year 2023, they have lost 148.35 million loss on a 3.63 billion revenue. In the year 2022, it is a 247.31 million loss on a 3.36 billion revenue. By the end of 2023, the total asset was 28.44 million and the liability was 38.8 billion, which causes the losses of 10.41 million. The Plus maintenance was also 3 times higher than competitors like Maju Motorway. The government retained Plus under Khazanah with 51% and EPF 49%. Moreover, I will talk about the differences between pre-pandemic, which was before 2020, during pandemic 2020 until 2021, and lastly for post-pandemic, which was on 2022 until 2025. The first aspect was procurement model. In the pre-pandemic, it is PPP, cost plus models, and traditional contracts, which is design, bid, and build. And during pandemic, it is a digital contracting, outcome-based contracting, and project delays started. Post-pandemic is a centralized tendering, life cycle costing, and performance-based budgeting. Secondly is the contract approach. For pre-pandemic, it is tied, fragmented, several packages. Meanwhile, during pandemic is service bundles and SLA integration. And for post-pandemic, it is a long-term contract with SLAs and centralized procurement. Furthermore is the tender process. For pre-pandemic, it is competitive bidding, early phases of e-perolehan. Meanwhile, during pandemic, is mainly stopped or postponed, and they switch it to online procedures. And during post-pandemic, it is MLFF system and e-perolehan were used for digital tendering. Not only that, the technology adoption for pre-pandemic was restricted, traditional acquisition. Meanwhile, during pandemic is predictive maintenance, RAMs, and IoT launch. And during post-pandemic is IoT, RFID, ML, and predictive analytics expansion. Last aspect will be Plus specific example. During pre-pandemic is the North-South Expressway with regional and global partnership. Meanwhile, during pandemic is the bundling and digital maintenance contract are introduced by UEM Agenta. And for post-pandemic is a long-term digital asset management, MLFF procurement, and RFID toll.
My name is Sarah Nabila Binti Saleh and I will be presenting conclusion and recommendation. In conclusion, the build, operate, transfer, which is BOT method, used in the Plus Highway project shows how public-private partnership can help build big infrastructure quickly and inefficiently. BOT lets the government use private money and expertise to reduce costs and speed up projects. The Plus Highway example show benefits like better connectivity and economic growth, but also challenges such as political issues, financial risks, and rising tolls. In Malaysia, the main problem with PPP are a lack of clear standard, long negotiation, and high user fees. Job loss is not a big issue, showing that PPP can actually create job and support the economy. Next recommendation. To improve PPP and BOT project success, there are several important strategies we can adopt. First, we need to establish clear government rules and regulation by creating and updating details guidelines for contract, tolling, and dispute resolution. We can build investor confidence and ensure consistent project delivery. Second, it is important to speed up negotiation and approval processes. By simplifying procedures and using digital systems to manage and monitor contracts, we can reduce delays, control costs, and encourage private investment. Third, we must implement fair and transparent toll pricing. Toll increase should be linked to inflation, usage, and maintenance costs while still considering the public ability to pay. Engaging with the public can also help reduce opposition and gain political support. Fourth, we should improve risk management through better forecasting and financial guarantee. Using conservative, evidence-based traffic and revenue forecasts, along with minimal revenue guarantee, can lower investor risk and reduce the chance of project failure. Finally, we need to foster technological innovation in operation. By investing in smart solutions like electronic toll collection, real-time traffic monitoring, and predictive maintenance, we can reduce costs and improve user experience and efficiency.